Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of Tales from the Dewdrop, a Wanderhome story. I am your facilitator and Natalie Putum, and tonight I will also be playing Scout, the Ragamuffin. VJ, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm VJ Stonecraft. I'm the director of Love Wins Craft. It's a queer-led Call of Cthulhu actual play podcast. We're currently recording Afterlight, which is the Cthulhu by Gaslight story. You can also find me as Miss Arabella Earhart in Carrie Smith's The Glass Chronicles, among a bunch of other projects that I have going on at the moment. And tonight I will be playing Professor Josephine Juniper. She is kind, she is warm, she's creative, and she's spry, but she doesn't have the best impulse control. She's a mink and a former teacher who carries her lesson plans and her old students' artwork in a big satchel that she carries over her shoulder. So that's who I am tonight.
Victor, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello there, guys. My name is Victor. I use he and they pronouns, and I am a writer, game designer, podcaster, actual player. And if you follow my Twitter, you can see when I am doing a bunch of cool stuff. I am playing Geronimo, who has a cold tonight. Uh, he is a Makuchi, which is a Venezuelan sheepdog. He is a large man, brave, and what's it called? He's brave, and he's like a little, and he's sweet, but he's afraid that, he's worried about his usefulness and if people actually find him amusing. And that's the vibe that we're going with tonight.
Great. Angela, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Amelia?
Hello there, lovely. It's an absolute pleasure to have you joining us here tonight. Thank you for sharing your time and space with us as we share our time and a little bit of cute shenanigans with you. I'm Angela Lemos Magravejo. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a poet, writer, game designer, TTRPG, all-around general performer, and also involved in occasional sensitivity consultation and other little bits of things here and there. And also the writer for our little musical theme of our actual campaign here, and also a freelance musician. And I'll be playing Amelia Ashhart, who is our sweet old lady owl caretaker who travels around different locales with kind of a walking shrine, with her own little personal shrine to a bunch of little small and forgotten gods, and is also just sort of on a trip to go and make a visit to see her beloved pen pal / love interest.
And Tiff, why don't you tell us about yourself and Esther?
Hi, everybody. My name is Tiff. I am a casual RPG player and enjoyer. Tonight, I will be playing Miss Esther Duwanda, who is a brown hyena peddler and the proud owner of the Dewdrop Traveling Inn, where she sells delicious food, thirst-quenching drinks, and the occasional small miracle.
Great. So, as we open, our party finds themselves in the small port town of, sorry, I forgot the name, Echo Cave. Echo Cave is a port that is literally in a lagoon that is covered by a cave facing the ocean. All along the roof, bioluminescent mushrooms grow, and from the walls, white, odd mushrooms occasionally sprout. The city is built on wooden docks that sit above the water. And it has been storming for about a week now, and many ships from the surrounding seas have come into this safe harbor looking for a respite from the storms and have become stuck. And our party has also taken shelter from the storm here and also found themselves stuck. And even though everyone is getting a little stir crazy, the smug captains around are playing music, and The fireflies are flitting about, which is keeping Scout or Gecko Ragamuffin quite busy chasing them. But I think we open with Scout kind of catching yet another dragonfly in a jar that Miss Esther gave her, and then just flopping down on the ground in front of the dewdrop and being like, "This is like the 500th firefly I've caught. I'm bored."
I think Geronimo is a little bit is like on the dewdrop instead of in front of it. And it's just sort of like, I think he's got like a little, like he's got his like very useless cape, like his useless cloak like over him like this, and it like barely covers the top of his like big body, and he's just like, Scout, shh.
Geronimo, don't you want to play with me? We could go splashing in the lagoon. I think I saw a crab in there, but I couldn't catch it on my own. You got to help me.
Scott, I promise as soon as I feel better, I can help you.
No, you're just. I think you see Scout get a little uncomfortable for a second. Geronimo looking sick, and then Scout like pops up. It's like, I can fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Miss Esther taught me how to make tea. I can make you some tea.
I'd love that, kiddo.
Cool.
Yeah, he's just a big bulk of fur, like curled under this cloak. He's very tired.
And I'm picturing like on the other side of the dewdrop from where this scene happened, there's like a line and Miss Esther's like busy serving food out of the.
Oh no, absolutely. The what's up today is a sipping broth. Not quite a full soup because there's no chunks of anything or vegetables in it. It's just a clear, savory smelling broth, and it's selling like hotcakes, which he's happy about.
Josie is going to be kind of like at the edge of the dock, and so she's got the dewdrop in her sights, right? But Josie's kind of like bent over. She's like on her knees, bent over on this dock, kind of like looking at all of the different like mushrooms and things that are growing on like the underside that she can get a hold of, and she keeps like pulling them out and inspecting them and kind of like holding them up to whatever light source she has. I'm picturing it being kind of like later in the day, or at least like it's a little bit gloomy here, so maybe a little bit less light generally. So kind of holding it up to whatever light source she happens to have around and getting out a notebook and just jotting down notes about it. And she finds one which just is kind of like oscillating or just like kind of gently moving on its own accord. And you see her look at it, and a lot of thoughts go through her head, none of which are probably good or productive. And you see her kind of
No,
I'm not gonna do that. And instead
Josie.
she sees if she can like stick it onto the vest that she's wearing to see if it'll like latch on, and it does. Just kind of like gently latches onto the vest that she's wearing, and she kind of just taps it.
I think, or right around the tail end of like you putting it like in there, you see Amelia, she's wearing a slightly different outfit in that she has an additional set of robes that look kind of almost glossy now, but it's like she has her own version of like a raincoat, but she never wears a raincoat. It's just a full-on extra set of robes for like rainy kind of weather. Lady, I have one aesthetic. No one is going to take me away from that aesthetic. But there's definitely a like, if you're like, you said you were like clipping it into like a little like pocket right there.
Yeah, just like seeing if it'll stick onto like the fabric that I'm wearing. Yeah.
I think you see her cane just come like out of the right side, right peripheral, and just like slowly like inching its way to like try and like scoop underneath said fungi. He's like, Josie, you don't want that to stick to your body.
It's friendly though. It's very nice. It's very cute.
I think you hear she's, well, in one hand she has the cane doing that, the other one she has a smaller little slot that is, it looks like it's a tiny little boulder with moss covering it, and there is a small little forgotten god named Woad on there, and just goes, it's bad luck if you do that.
Oh, I I didn't know. And Josie like waves at Woad. I didn't know. I can put him back, and I can find new friends. I didn't realize that I was disturbing something sacred, Emilian. I'm sorry.
No, it's not sacred. It's just gonna cover your body in fungi if you let it stay there too long. You might
Oh.
want to take it off. It's already spreading all over your outfit.
Oh,
That's why Amelia is like, don't panic. Just like,
if you panic,
tips
it takes
off.
over faster.
Yes, exactly. If you panic, it goes faster.
It's
Amelia,
like
you
bees.
hear a small voice clear their throat behind you. Pardon me.
Yes, who might be speaking?
My name is Abe, famous Captain Abe. I'm sure you've heard of me.
Should I have heard of you in infamy or simply being famous?
I'm one of the most well-known sea captains on the sea.
She looks. She holds up the staff that has a whole bunch of marking. Her cane, her walking stick.
Uh-huh.
She's like, "Oh, you're right. I think I had a parent or an ancestor tell stories about you."
Could you mentioned luck?
Yes.
Are you skilled in the art of luck?
I'm my own good luck charm for my associates, if that's what you mean.
Well, that is quite fortunate. You see, I am quite unlucky, it would seem. You see, at a great cost to myself, I purchased a large amount of fine cheeses to be shipped, and they are quite rapidly going rancid in my ship, and it will ruin me if that happens before I can get them to my car. So I could really use some luck to get the storm to end.
Wouldn't it also behoove you just to try and get rid of the cheese as well? Or get some help selling it or converting it into
How am
something
I going to
else?
sell all that fancy cheese in a town such as this?
I think against her better judgment, because I think she knows if Miss Esther hears about this will be like, new lucrative opportunity. We're going to be staying here. This is our next project. This is our next. No, it does not matter what anyone else wants to do. And she's like, I had something I wanted to do, but okay, fine. I know someone who might be able to take that off your hands.
You are lucky.
I'm at the very least a delight.
Yes. Okay, maybe this won't be such a disaster after all.
Oh dear, most things don't end up being a disaster. Unless you're anxious, then everything is a disaster.
I'm sorry, do I come off as anxious?
Oh, not particularly. It's a personal experience, dear. It's just it's a comparison point. It's a turn of phrase.
Yes. So
Slowly
take me to
starts
your
inching the captain over.
take me to your fine cheesemonger you're keeping hidden here.
Just it's very strange that this is the thing I can always do and never knew when to do it, but I can always pause, tilt my head to the side, and keep going. This feels like an appropriate instance to use that. It's just like, and I think my head does the full 360 turn as well. I'm just sort of like, I don't get you, but okay. That's your vibe. I'm not going to judge it. Just slowly starts walking away. And also Josie.
Yeah, Josie at this point is flailing a little bit. The big mushroom has been removed and safely deposited back on the deck, but little mushrooms are now appearing from the growth that's kind of spread over her vest and onto her blouse, and she's just kind of flailing about as she tries to remove them, but the more she removes them, the more start popping up in their place, and then one pops up on the tip of her nose and she bats at it away, and then, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. Amelia, they're everywhere.
They do tend to spread, dear. It's, if you'd like, I can ask Woden after I take our dear friend up. What was it you said your name was? Was it Abe?
Captain Abe.
Captain Abe, our most fantastic captain here, over to our esteemed mercantile friend. But she's doing that thing where, like, when you have a kid who's like trying to pick at a scab of something, and she's just like, no, if you pick at it, she's basically, she ends up just taking a second to be like, if you keep picking at it, it's going to get worse. It spreads by in reaction to how intense your emotions are. You have to be calm, centered. Here, she takes the mossy boulder that holds Woad, and it's just, she gives you a comfort boulder essentially to hold on to.
I almost drop it. Thank you. It's very comforting. I'm going to sit here and slowly covered in mushrooms, and I'm not going to fight it. And I've learned my lesson about doing strange things that I shouldn't, in the name of science.
And it's just like, I'm sorry, but we need to table that conversation while I take.
And Geronimo creep to Josie after this, because I feel like Geronimo's just trying so hard to get some sleep, and then there's just slow lumbering, and he just sits down next to Josie, and it's just like, oh, I know that mushroom.
This mushroom, or this mushroom, or
I know that type of mushroom.
What do you know about these mushrooms?
Oh.
Tell me about it. Turn it into a lesson.
We called them huggers where I grew up, because they always wanted to latch onto something.
That sounds very pleasant and apt out of context.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're good huggers, but they're bad at listening. So it's like somebody who's hugging you too tight. And so what we like to do is we sing to them and they let go.
Geronimo, would you mind singing to them? I know your throat's a little sore at the moment, but I think I've got one growing in my mouth.
That's unfortunate. All right. Okay. There was a big dog, and he was so big, and they all sang that this big dog, he is too big, so he has to go away. But then he goes, and he's too small to play. This big dog is too small now, so he runs away.
And I
This
think
big
you hear a
dog is-
strumming behind you
Oh,
on like a mandolin. And there's a mole standing there with a big hat with a giant feather sticking out of it. He's got his mandolin. He's like, keep singing.
And I think Geronimo just keeps saying about this this dog that doesn't seem to fit in. And as he sings, like you Josie would start to feel like a little bit lighter, like the little mushrooms are like falling off and sort of like almost like rolling away. Like this Chef Boyardee cannon commercials.
Absolutely. So as you sing this little song, and the mushrooms start picking up and falling down and rolling, they're all making their way closer to the water, to the underside of that dock, and just one by one they splash, 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 fall into the water, and eventually Josie is just kind of left with one of those early ones that first started on her vest, and you hear her look down at it and say, "No, don't you want to go with your friends now? They're quite a bit more fun and better at giving hugs than I am, even." And you see this last mushroom kind of like pick its little like grabby,
Grabbers.
yeah, grabbers, whatever this would be, and one by one pull them out of her vest, and it kind of squelches a little bit at her in mushroom language before it also jumps to the deck and slowly, very lazily rolls off and splashes into the water.
Geronimo smiles and he's like, the last verse is, the big dog has found his home and it's here to stay. And even though it moves around, he gets to play and play. And then he coughs and it's just like, okay. Is that
Beautiful
better now,
song.
Joseph?
Tell me, where did you learn songwriting?
I came up with that right now.
You are a poet, sir.
No, my name's Geronimo. I'm not
Ah.
a bouncer. Kind of a server or waiter.
This was your first time singing?
Oh, no. But that's the first time I sang that song.
And you learned this waiting tables.
No. I learned to sing like anybody else does. By listening to the wind.
Yes. I must wait tables to become a great singer. You're right. I will be a waiter.
I mean, you could take my shifts right now at the Dewdrop because I'm sick.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And he kind of grins.
Yeah. And Geronimo just sort of looks really slowly at Josie and he's like, that's not what I said, right? Like he just didn't listen.
I think so. I think you were very clear about what you meant.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But it could be an opportunity and you could really use the rest. You need a sick day. You look a little under the weather.
And if it's okay, VJ, I think Geronimo, like while he's nodding, just sort of like slowly collapses against Josie's side. It's like, I'm so tired.
Oh. Yeah. So with that, Josie will slowly sink down to the deck of the Dewdrop, and we'll just let Geronimo rest his head in her lap, and she'll just very gently pat at the fur on his head a little bit, and as he's drifting off, we'll say, "Thank you for singing to me. It was a really good lesson."
I think that's all. Like he is, and then he is just out like a light.
Is he doing the little like dog kicks in the middle of?
Well, he's not dreaming yet, but like definitely like later, it'll be like a little bit of like.
All I wanted to know.
heart.
That's all I wanted to know. That's all I cared about. I just wanted to see I just wanted to see no confirmation or denial of dog sleepy kicks.
I think inside the Dewdrop, Scout is like looking frantically around. It's like, Miss Esther, all your burners are taken up for broth. I need a burner to make tea.
Hold on, just a moment. You need a burner to what?
Make tea to fix Geronimo. To fix Geronimo.
What's wrong with Geronimo?
He's sick.
Oh, wait, he's not serving people, is he? Where is he?
He was sleeping behind the dewdrop just a minute ago.
Oh, all right. All
Wait,
right.
no, I think that's him out there. And I'm going to point and I'm going to have Bertrand do Bertrand's move, look exactly like another character. If anyone wants to spot the difference, they're going to need to spend a token. And Bertrand the mole is wearing the cloak and like a tiny apron in front and is carrying themselves just like Geronimo would. Like the only difference is that they're a mole.
Oh, gracious. I told him over and over if he didn't put on a shirt, he was going to catch a chill. And look what happened. He caught a chill. Scout, this is why you should always listen to your elders, unless your elders are wrong.
Yeah, but
Understand?
if I get some tea, it'll fix it. That's what my dad used to always do when I was sick. Oh no, did Tiff freeze? I think Tiff froze.
Oh.
Tip might have frozen.
Oh, you're back.
Oh gosh, I'm so
Hello.
sorry.
No, it's okay.
You're good.
So yeah, Scout had said like, oh, we just need to make him some tea. It'll fix him. My dad used to always make me tea when I was sick, and it always worked.
All right. Well, here, you make sure that he gets bundled up in his spot with warm blankets. I'll get the hot water started and then you can make the tea. I don't want you to knock over a pot of broth on yourself.
Okay.
All right. Now scoot along, scoot. And she bustles back into the kitchen, just muttering under her breath about, I don't know why he keeps doing that. Every time I tell him, you get wet, you're going to catch a chill. And every time, what happens? He comes around with a case of the sniffles, and then I'm backed up and have to fix everything.
Yeah. And I think Scout walks out with like a big stack of blankets and then sees Geronimo like sleeping on.
Oh, I was gonna be Bertrand. Like, do you
Oh,
try
you
to
wanna
cover
be
Bertrand
Bertrand?
first?
Okay, yeah, you want to be
Bertrand's just like
pretending to be
yes, this is how I will do it, and is just serving broth. And I think like half of it sloshes over whenever he serves. And he's like, "Don't worry."
Geronimo, you're sick and you're not supposed to be serving.
Oh my goodness, I've embodied the poet. Everyone will see my prowess now. Good, Geronimo. I can inhabit that form, yes. What's your name?
Do you know my name?
Do I? You look like Squire. I'll call you Squire. You can be my Squire.
I like it.
Yes, good. All right. So, to be a waiter is to be a poet, is to be a singer. So, we will wait. And then Bertrand keeps going, and just serving people and like humming songs at them.
No, like, Miss Esther said you need to take a break and get under these blankets because you're sick.
Oh,
because you don't wear shirts.
Well, part of and I think Bertrand is wearing like a large white furry shirt, which is probably part of this issue.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm wearing a shirt right now. Squire, what are you talking about?
You look different.
Oh, it's because of all the musical understanding, the art.
This is a weird cold.
Huh? Oh, wait.
Miss Esther pokes her head up back. Geronimo, did I or did I not ask you to take yourself to bed? Chop, chop, sir.
I think at this
her
point,
head back in.
Bertrand is looking, and there's just a very muffled voice like, why are you sleeping?
Josie will look up, having heard Esther shout to Geronimo to go to bed, and Josephine says, "Oh, he's already asleep, Miss Esther. Look at his foot go." You just see his little doggy foot going. I think he's dreaming about. I don't know what he'd be dreaming about. Would it be rabbits? Would it be fish? He's dreaming about something.
Well, wait, then where is Scout with my blankets? You know what? Never mind. I'm just going to make the tea. She'll come back when she comes back. So just a moment. And she's back into the kitchen bustling around.
I think as Miss Esther's starting to deal with like the intensity and everything, I think she sees a very familiar, like feathery individual. It's Amelia just coming into the kitchen saying, "Dear, how would you like some good news?"
I would love some good news.
I have an individual with a need, and I have you here with a possible way to help that can be mutually beneficial to you. And why don't I take over on this front to give you a little bit of break from this to do something that I know you love, finding new opportunities to sell more things.
Amelia, you are a darling and I adore you. All right, so these 3 burners are just on simmer. You don't have to raise the fire anymore. This kettle here is for Scout. She's going to come back and make tea for Geronimo. Guess who has the sniffles again? So that's there for them. I will be back. And who am I looking for?
I think she points towards whoever is standing the most peacockish and proud
I think
amidst
like
the entire
behind the
clientele.
door, like you see Captain Abe is like standing there with a walking stick, like in like a fancy, like double buttoned captain's jacket. I'm very proud.
Fine. It better be worth good money. And you actually see her snarling, but she brushes down the front of her dress and walks out to go approach him.
I'm sorry for the interruption. You must be the cheesemonger that Amelia sent me for.
I do business in this and that, and I do business in this and that. So yes, what is your business?
You see, it seems I've hit upon a string of bad luck that has brought me here, stormed into this port. Woe is my fortunes, but perhaps you can change them, for Miss Amelia has promised me luck. You see, I came into the possession of 50 fine wheels of cheese that are bound for, well, you must know where 50 wheels of fine cheese would be bound for. And
I have an idea.
but I've been stormed into this port and the cheese is going rancid in my hold. If I don't do something soon, I will be left with nothing. I've staked my entire fortune on this cheese, you see. But I have been told you are a fine cheesemonger who will pay a fine cheesemonger price.
Well, as a fine cheesemonger, I'll have a few questions. What color are the rinds on these cheeses?
Oh, the finest gold.
And how long have you had them sitting in the storage of your ship?
A week now.
A week. So you mean to tell me that you spent a fortune on Gullamander cheese, had it sitting in the storage of a ship, I assume without any kind of proper storage options, and you expect me to pay a high price on a product that has 3 days at most to get sold before it turns into a disgusting mess? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, yes.
All right. And what sort of fee are you thinking of asking for?
Well, I mean, it's impolite to talk money in public.
Then be rude.
You can see Abe like struggling to get out the words, and then it's like 5,000.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know Amelia brought me a comedian. 5,000.
I mean,
That's adorable.
it's
Try
quite a
again.
discount. That's barely more than I paid for it.
That was barely more than you paid for it when it was actually worth something and didn't have a higher probability of giving people food poisoning. Try again.
Perhaps 4,800.
And you can see Miss Esther's eye literally twitch.
I would barely make a profit at 4,800.
All right. Are you carrying anything else of worth on that ship of yours?
Well, I mean, there's the ship itself. It's been in my family for centuries.
And this ship is only carrying 50 wheels. Blessed be. All right. All right. Since my dear friend made you a promise, I will do two things for you. The first thing that I will do is give you a very short lesson in business. Don't ever, ever put all of your fortunes into a perishable product, especially if you cannot guarantee its transportation. Do you understand?
Yes, I do now.
Good. The second favor that I will do for you is I will buy 2 of those wheels of cheese from you. You are going to give me 1 wheel absolutely free. By the time I'm finished using that free wheel, you are going to have a line of customers coming up to your ship to buy the rest post haste, and I want a 40% commission. Do we have a deal?
Yes, we have a deal.
Good. Glad to hear it. And she claps him on the shoulder. Now then, hurry up, 3 wheels as quickly as you can. And by the way, what's the name of your ship?
The glory.
The glory. Glory be. All right. 3 wheels of cheese as quickly as you can. Bring them back here and prepare I assume you have a crew?
Yes.
Prepare the crew to have customers coming on your ship. That means your floorboards will be swabbed and clean. You will have the product set up at the top of the ship where it is easy to see. And you will make sure that there are other crew members to help other people get the wheels of cheese off of your boat.
Yes.
Correct? Good. All right, run along. I'm busy. And she turns on her heel and walks back into the dewdrop.
And Abe looks like a
Keep
little
girl boss
uncomfortable.
gaslight.
At this point, it's been probably 5 to 10 minutes. Josephine has had Geronimo on her lap, and you see that Josephine is getting visibly restless, and she starts to poke Geronimo. And I assume at this point you're maybe sleeping quite soundly, perhaps even snoring, even Geronimo, if that's something that you're inclined to do. And Josie starts poking you a little bit, very subtly at first, but then a little bit more agitated. And she says, Geronimo, you've been sleeping for at least 5 to 10 minutes. Geronimo, how long do you have to sleep? Geronimo, I would really like to go exploring and
I
see if I
think
can
right when you
find.
say exploring, he just fully sits completely up. And he just looks and he's like, I'm sorry, Miss Josie.
Oh, are you well rested, or do you need more sleep?
I probably need more sleep. However, I should probably walk around. I bet Scout's worried.
With that statement that you will walk around, Josie claps her hands to her paws to your paws and says, good, then let's go on an adventure. There's so many things to learn here. I've never been in a place quite like this before. And she starts to tug you along with her.
There's a clear look on Geronimo's face, like as he looks back towards the dewdrop of like, I have made several mistakes, and then he's dragged off.
Scout, we're going on an adventure, Scout. Where are you? Would you like to join us, sweetheart?
Over here trying to get Geronimo to take these blankets.
Geronimo calls. He's like, Scout, I'm over here.
And Scout's gonna like look at Geronimo and then turn around and look at Geronimo and then look at Geronimo and then turn around and look at Geronimo.
Josie,
I don't know what's happening.
Sorry. Josie will look at you, Scout, and say, oh, all those blankets, Geronimo's very well rested. We don't need those. And she will toss them to the side.
Wait, Geronimo needs tea.
Do you want to come meet with us in a little bit? I can't walk that fast. I'm sure
Yeah.
the two ready, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We're going on an adventure?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really cool. I heard one of the captains was telling me a story. The waterfall has a broken heart, and maybe we could fix the waterfall's broken heart and like make it happy again.
That sounds wonderful. And I bet there will be other mushrooms on the way there. If there's the grabby kinds of mushrooms, then there might be other kinds of mushrooms as well. And I would quite like to meet them.
Okay. I'll catch up with you with tea. Maybe I'll bring other Geronimo with me.
Bertrand just looks really excited and like strums like completely, like while trying to like hold the this like tray, strums, and it's like some god awful like
Other Geronimo plays the guitar.
I can't right now. And Geronimo just very like again like curls like into his cloak and is just like shuffling after Josie.
Josie is probably 100 feet in advance of Geronimo, and she doesn't hear those big heavy footfalls behind her, and so she turns around and says, Geronimo, you're dropping behind me, Geronimo. Is everything all right? Good, let's keep going.
I love this so much.
And at this point you can see that from the docks, sort of deeper into the island, deeper inland, there are mushrooms which are starting to glow a little bit on the trail from the kind of seaport area to deeper inland. And so that is what Josie seems to be fixated on. She's lifted up her petticoats a little bit, and she's sort of skipping along the stones, following the bioluminescent mushrooms. And every so often she will lean down and try to poke one or pat one on the head, but she doesn't try and pick one up and put it on her vest again.
I love this.
I think Scout brings a big pile of blankets back into the dewdrop and puts them in the cabinet where they go and shuts it and is like, is the teapot boiling yet, Amelia?
You see she doesn't even turn around, and she like lifts her wing up, and like there's already a cup of tea that's like nice and full, and I think the level of extra is like, this is a weird reference to make from ages ago, the Simpsons movie scene with Ned Flanders doing a hot chocolate where it's just like cream, like little bits of sprinkles, a marshmallow, heat the marshmallow, then add an extra bit of chocolate syrup, but except with tea. So it's like nice bit of tea. There's honey on top of it. There's a bit of like lemon that's been poured into that. There's a couple of additional like little petals on top of it to add just a bit of flavor. And then she has like, it does not appear as though she has baked whatsoever, and yet there's these nice little wafer thin cookies to go along with it. She's like, this is for Geronimo.
Scout like sniffs it, kind of skeptical, and it's like, this is different than my dad used to make. Are you sure it's gonna work?
She has a separate plate of cookies set aside for Scout as well.
Scout eats a cookie. You sure it'll work?
Yep. Be warned, the first couple, please let Geronimo know that the first few seconds will taste absolutely terrible. It's an infusion that derives from beeswax.
My dad's tea always tasted good.
It will become very good after a few seconds, but the first few seconds are terrible.
I think you made it wrong.
Maybe I did, Scout.
Well, let me show you how to do it right.
She steps aside to let Scout show her how to do it
And
correctly.
Scout just makes kind of like the messiest cup of tea you've ever seen. It's like plop a tea bag in, like pour the hot water and like squeezing like the cheap honey over like the top. I'm like, there, it's done, just like Dad used to make.
Just reflexively as a mechanics thing, I'm giving myself inconvenience yourself for the sake of someone else as another free token to myself for that.
Miss Esther comes back into the Dewdrop Inn, and she just has this aura of deep irritation that she sees Scout and Amelia, and she just tries to, all right.
I couldn't get either of the Hieronymos to take the blankets. One of the Hieronymos is going with Professor Juniper. The other Hieronimo is playing guitar and still serving people. Oh, there's two of them now.
Wait, since when?
I know. It's a weird cold.
All right.
Without skipping a beat, Amelia just and is still like taking over for Miss Esther. Amelia just goes, that one is a fake over there, and points at the one with the guitar.
The
Uh-huh.
other one's a fake. How will we ever know which Hieronimo is real?
Well, our Hieronimo has never played a guitar or been a mole, as far as I'm aware. So, let's just
weird
assume
cold.
It sounds like it is a weird cold. Scout.
Yes.
Could you do me a favor?
Uh-huh.
If I give you a picture of something,
yes.
Could you, and you don't go too far and don't go into very dark, dangerous places, but if you could go along the cave walls and pick a particular kind of mushroom for me, I would be very, very grateful.
I can do that.
Actually,
I'll go with Professor Juniper and I'll hold her hand.
Thank you, Scout. I appreciate it. All right. And she goes and pulls out this very light colored wicker basket with a little red and white gingham bow that strings across the top. Okay. This is my very, very special foraging basket. I'm entrusting you with it because you've proven yourself to be very trustworthy. All right.
Yes.
Hands you the basket and a little picture of a very peculiar type mushroom where the head is almost shaped a bit like a heart. and there are little white spots all along the top that look like kind of like a deer's marking. All right, and it's brown and white. It looks like this. So keep hold of that picture, and I'd like you to pick as many as you can for me.
Got it.
Thank you very much, Scout.
You're welcome, Miss Esther. I'll be back soon.
Okay, and don't forget to hold Professor Juniper's hand.
And
Oh,
I
dear.
think you, yeah, we can cut to see what Amelia's doing. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think she turns after that. She hasn't turned away from any of the things that are on the burners and such. And she just like addresses Miss Esther. He says, "You've been having a rather stressful day today, haven't you?"
I wouldn't say stressful. My hackles got a bit raised back there. Where on earth did you find that buffoon?
The fake one, or the fake Aronimo, or the
No, the captain.
oh, he just seemed to have come up. He was rather he seemed to be taken, as most people are, about trying to find someone to change their circumstances when sometimes their own efforts would probably be better. But sometimes asking people for help is good.
Hmm. Well, I can't really argue with that. I am I'm just not fond of those type of people, the ones who think that just because their vest is brocade that they are somehow superior to everyone around them. So if you come across someone like that in the future, perhaps give me a warning first, if you don't mind.
Dear, I was hoping to give you a laugh more than anything else.
Hmm.
And a possible business opportunity. I know how you like such things.
I do. And I am going to make an opportunity out of this because you did offer the help, and for your sake, I will help him. I just don't tend to get along with the rich and snobby
I think
very
she,
well.
at that part, she does turn around. Dear, if you want him to disappear, that can be done very, very quickly.
No, because I am going to make a profit out of it. I'm just snippy.
See, so not stressful day, but a snippy day, I suppose. We're choosing a different word with the letter S. Is that acceptable?
That's actually fine. Yes, it's a snippy day. I'll try to be a bit less snippy. And, the sound of money will definitely help with that, if I'm going to be honest.
If you would like, I can bring you some more folks to entertain, and even provide some entertainment if you would like. I have not done so in a while, but I can offer that if you would like.
Are you going to give us some of your songs? It's been so long.
Oh, it has been a while. Like I think she has the look. I think it's the look of like two old ladies just being like hashing about their niche hobby, like if they were both knitters, who like no one else knows this like esoteric 45-year-old pattern that no one's done because they're like, it takes too long, it takes like 3 weeks to do this pattern correctly. And it's like,
Yes, well, of course it's fidgety, but when the product comes, it's gorgeous. So put the time in, lazy.
I think that's a good way to describe Miss Esther and Amelia's rapport. It's founded on we share the same level of niche interests.
Absolutely.
And so I think she says, "Oh, by the way, I did take the liberty of handling the broth and everything as you asked, and it looks as though people are quite enjoying it. You, as always, are doing stellar."
Well, thank you. Now I just have to pull off the trick of coming up with a new dish that's going to convince them that buying this cheese is of the utmost importance. I'll figure it out. I usually do. But yes.
Dear, today is a snippy day. Let me handle that. And you see her, she taps her cane, and you see that have you purchased any of the cheese as of yet?
The cheese has been purchased. I'm waiting for him to bring the 3 wheels down to the dewdrop.
Right.
Hey, I'm from the glory. I heard you wanted some cheese.
Right over here, dear. Right over here.
There's
Yeah.
a pelican outside in like dockhand clothes. Like,
The pelican isn't holding the cheese in the
No.
mouth. Is
Oh,
okay.
God.
I
Like,
had to
nope,
double check.
automatic refund. Take that right back.
No, we out. We're out. We're out.
Nope.
I think she taps her cane, and because I have the capacity to, I've saved up a few tokens by being very frank and honest and direct on subjects with you. She taps her walking stick, and you see the cheeses just lift up into the air, go through into the kitchen, and just get like just chopped down into little bits. And you see her like wave her other feather, her other arm and wing to a fridge we keep in the back in a pantry, and she starts like making like a bechamel and like a cream sauce from some of it. I still have some tricks up my sleeve. I don't share everything all at once. Why would you? None of these folks
well.
deserve to know all of it.
What could they do with the secrets if they did know?
Yes. And I think the last thing because I think we're going to take a break
Yep.
in just a moment. I think the last thing she does is she steps out and she begins to like do like this very low throaty kind of sound, like a the sleeping god does rest below. Oh, how long we do not know. And just sort of like does like a nice little bit of like a round, but it's like an old round that people probably haven't heard in ages. But it's about the folklore of that some people used to tell stories about the cave that the sleeping god at the bottom of the world actually fell asleep here at one point. And so there used to be like little like spooky stories told about them. But we'll let everyone else fill in the lines. It's definitely one of those kinds of things of like it's a verse that people know like the chorus, and then 3 other people add 6 other different lines for the verses, but she just sets it off there. It's like, told you I can bring you more people.
I never doubted you for a moment, dear.
As you shouldn't. It's like clinks glass of like celebrates like scheming successful.
and I think with that, we're going to take a break. We'll see you in a few minutes. Hey everyone, we're back. When we last left, Amelia and Miss Esther had just gotten a delivery of cheese wheels from a pelican, and Scout had gone running after Professor Juniper and Geronimo with a cup of tea and was hoping to make Geronimo feel better. And I think you guys just hear behind you, like, wait up, wait up, wait up.
Is Scout, is that you, sweetheart?
Uh-huh.
We're going to find
And Scout
the-
just immediately takes Professor Juniper's hand.
Oh, all right. That leaves me with one less hand to pick mushrooms with, but that's
And-
fine. That's fine. I can just go twice as fast.
This tea is for you, Geronimo. It's just like my dad used to make, and it always made me feel better.
Thanks, good. And I think Geronimo walks up and then takes Josie's other hand and starts drinking the tea.
This isn't how I expected this to go. How am I supposed to touch the mushrooms and make friends with them now?
We can work
Exactly.
together at it.
All right. Well, we're here, and our purpose is to find the waterfall and fix its broken heart. But I also want to take notes on all of the friendly mushrooms that we find along the way. So the mushrooms here seem to be very, very different than the ones that are growing down by the docks. The ones by the docks have
Oh,
little.
I need to look for mushrooms that look like this.
Oh,
Scout holds up a picture. They're for Miss Esther.
Josephine takes off her glasses and rubs them against her vest to clean them and puts them back on. Oh, we haven't seen any mushrooms quite like that, but maybe they're growing near the waterfall or down in the lagoon.
They look like that deer that we met in the last town.
You know, now that you say it, you're absolutely right. So let's keep on the lookout for them. I think I might need you to be our scout. Scout, my eyes aren't apparently what they used to be. So I'll need you to keep your eyes open. Can you keep your eyes very, very open for me?
You're allowed to blink though, Scout.
Yes, please
Okay.
keep blinking, Scout.
Okay. But not too much.
But not too much, not too little and not too much. I know it's a very difficult balance, but your body kind of knows how to do this naturally. So don't
Right.
think about it too hard, Scout. You can't think about it too hard, Scout. You need to think like every 3 to 4 seconds. It's okay to take a blink, but if that feels like too much,
Josie,
then you can dial
Josie,
it back. And if that's
Josie,
too little,
Josie.
yes,
Are you okay? You seem to be spiraling.
I'm good. Let's keep going.
Okay. Geronimo probably gave Josie her hand back to do the glasses thing, which is sort of like, if it's okay, like pats Josie on the shoulder. It's just like, you can use my hands too.
All right, you may hold my hands if you wish, but if we need to pick a mushroom, then we need to let go of our hands. All right,
Okay.
we are not grabby mushrooms. Okay, I'd say follow me, but you already are. I just realized I'm perhaps the adult here, and that's a little bit terrifying.
I
All right, and
Oof.
Josie will lead them further down the
Geronimo
trail.
makes an annoyed puppy sound. Just like,
Darling, you're only proving my point, and it's scaring me more.
I am useful, Josie. I'm not a child.
I
And
know,
Geronimo
Geronimo.
takes his hand back and like finishes the tea. I think he puts it in his little bindle.
When Geronimo says not a child, I think you hear an echo of not a child, not a child, not a child.
I'm sorry, Geronimo. I didn't mean to imply that you were not useful or that you were a child. I'm so used to a very particular environment for my lessons, and when I'm out of that environment, I don't always know what I'm doing. But I know you're not a child. I know you're very, very useful.
Josie.
I'm sorry.
I think you're doing really well, Professor Juniper. I'm learning a lot.
So why don't we follow the mushrooms? We will find the mushrooms that Miss Esther needs. And if we're very, very lucky, maybe we will fix the waterfall's broken heart, or we'll just ignore our own. All right, let's keep going. And oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Please describe what's happening right now because I want to react to it afterwards.
Esther is, or I need to ask, are the two of you still holding her hands, or you kind of dropped them?
Geronimo has let go.
Okay.
Scout is
are you
still holding on tight.
Okay. You feel Josie's hand tighten around yours much faster as she continues to lead you deeper and deeper inland. And eventually you come to an area where the world seems quieter here. It's gloomier. There's almost this bluish gray, green teal pallor that is sort of cast on everything. And you realize that you're in a lagoon, and you can hear like a drip, drip, drip of water as this sort of dark, damp cast of dreary color is over everything. And I'm actually going to play with our aesthetics just a little bit, because I'm going to say that as we reach the lagoon, we do see what was perhaps once a glorious, beautiful waterfall, rocks, and very, very high up. So high, in fact, that all three of us have to tilt our heads up to see it. But the water is no longer running. There are just creeping vines everywhere, and you can only hear that drip, drip, drip of water, but there's no beautiful running water here.
I guess that's one way to break a waterfall's heart.
Is it even a waterfall anymore if the water isn't falling?
Josie looks at the waterfall and looks at all of you and says, well, I was thinking we might have more of a metaphorical heart to fix, not a literal broken waterfall. What do you think we should do? Geronimo, do you have any ideas?
Something's
so quick.
blocking the water. So, I mean, the easiest thing, probably go up and unblock it. Though the two of you should probably stay down here.
It's very kind of you to offer, Geronimo. Are you sure you're able to?
That
That's very brave
look
of you.
that crosses his face before you catch it. And it's something like his own broken heart. And before, like, that lazy smile that he plasters on whenever he's working, whenever he's waiting or serving. And I feel like Josie and Scout know now that smile is a mask. And Geronimo's like, thank you. I'll show you how brave and useful I am.
I know, sweetheart. Just be careful.
I always am. And he takes off his cloak and he puts it around Scout and pats top of Scout's head and is like, all right, make sure you find those mushrooms. Thank you for giving me that tea. I feel a lot better. Your dad's one smart guy.
Yeah, he was the best.
Toronto has so much that he wants to say, and instead he just sort of like pats Scout's head again. It's like, I'll be right back.
Okay.
And I think he moves and starts to like climb up higher while you guys are sort of left by this lagoon.
As Geronimo is climbing higher, I'll take Scout by the hand, and lead her closer to the mouth of the waterfall with the lagoon. And Scout, you can it's up to you whether you understand what's going on, but Josie is sniffling and kind of wiping a paw at her snout a little bit. And she looks at the lagoon and she looks at you, Scout, and she says, Scout, what can we learn from this? What do you see?
Why are you crying, Professor Juniper?
Let's just say that it's not just the waterfall that has a broken heart. But just because I have a broken heart and the waterfall has a broken heart doesn't mean that we can't be happy or we can't learn something from this. So come with me. Come with me. Do you know why this place is called Echo Cave? I have an idea. And Josie will stick her head and move the vines out of the way and stick her head into the back of the waterfall and will say, Scout? And then you hear it echo.
Scout, 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 Scout.
What was that?
It's called an echo. And places where things are close and hold us close like a hug from a grabby mushroom. Sometimes your voice travels further than you could ever have expected it to. But eventually, it'll come back to you. Listen.
Scout, 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 Scout.
The cave knows my name.
It knows your name because I told it, sweetheart. Why is your heart broken?
Broken.
And how can we fix it?
I think that there's the softest reverberation from somewhere up higher. Dog's too big to play and play, so dog just runs away and away. And then like the sound of like something like rock on rock. Like something stuck. And then that drip that's pervasive in the cave.
Josie will tap Scout on the shoulder and say, I think Geronimo is up there working. Maybe we should, maybe you should go give him some encouragement, maybe cheer for him, tell him that we're here and that we know how hard he's working. I could use a minute to myself in the cave. I just want to talk to it a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
And Scout, as you leave the cave, the mouth of the waterfall, do you see Josephine drop to her knees and start to cry?
I think Scout looks back and then like kind of knows what's happening and kind of nods.
But maybe what you don't see is that as Josephine starts to cry, even though it's just a couple of teardrops at first, her teardrops well up into more and more water in the bottom of this cave. It's not from her, it's some sort of reaction in the cave itself.
Scout looks up to where Geronimo is. It's like, you can do it, Geronimo. We believe in you.
I think the cave echoes that. Like when Scout shouts, Scout hears her voice from all different angles. And Geronimo almost like shoots up like, huh? And I think something moves. It's not enough yet, but water starts flowing a little bit stronger. Like a giant, like,
It's working. Keep going, Geronimo. You can do it.
Do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it.
and there's sounds of effort and movement, and as Josephine is crying, more water starts to like trickle out and like slide down these vines until the dam breaks. There's a large sound of like rock on rock, and Geronimo like lets out this like cry of like triumph and frustration and all of it, and it moves, and there's just this rush of water, this roar that fills up the cave. Instead of a trickle, it's almost like its own shout.
And as this is happening, Josephine looks up around the cave and wipes the tears from her eyes and from her snout. And she sees that the water is rushing, and she hears Geronimo shouting and relief and happiness and all of these wonderful emotions. And Josephine wraps her arms around herself, and not even necessarily expecting an answer, but if one was forthcoming, she would certainly listen. How do I heal my broken heart?
I think there's a breeze, soft and subtle. And the fact that you are trying to listen is the only reason you pick it up. But it comes through with a shh.
Josephine nods and smiles, maybe even laughs a little bit before straightening her skirt and her vest, and she straightens up, and she will jump through the mouth of the waterfall, getting wet all over again. The wool of the tweed, she doesn't care, she doesn't mind. But Scout, you see her burst through the mouth of the waterfall cave, dripping wet, and she's smiling. And she's crying, but mostly she's smiling. And she looks up towards the top of the waterfall, and she calls, Geronimo! Geronimo, you did it!
And I think you hear a whoop, a loud whoop that echoes, and then you see a large ball of fur who is about to exacerbate their sickness jumping from the top of the waterfall and making a huge sploosh in front of you.
Josephine will run to the edge of this pool, this lagoon, and her eyes are just raking the water, remembering what happened last time when they were in the water, and she instigated it. But Geronimo, do you emerge from the service like kicking your paws a little bit?
Oh yeah, for sure.
You see that relief just go over Josie's face, and she reaches out and she'll take your hand, Scout, and she'll pat it and smile.
Yeah, and I think Geronimo pulls himself from the like little shore and stands up and shakes himself out. His hands are a little rough. Then he does try to sort of like cross his fingers to hide them, but like it's pretty hard when your hands are so big. But he smiles at the pair of you and it's like, well, fix the waterfall. Just need some mushrooms for Esther, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Between the three of us, I'm sure we could get it done. Thank you to both of you. You helped me get stronger. And Geronimo flexes.
Josephine will laugh and try to encourage Scout to clap, and we're both clapping and applauding. And as we're doing that, Josephine, her eyes get big and she points off into the distance. She says, "My eyesight isn't very good, but I think I see one. Scout, is that one of the mushrooms that Miss Esther needs?"
I think so.
And Josie will pick up her skirts and kick out her button boots and say, "Well, after it then." And she'll take off running.
Scott's gonna like try and race to it.
I think that's a good place for this scene.
Yeah.
We want to
Mhm.
visit our other friends back at the Dewdrop.
Mhm.
If it's all right with you, Tiff, I think it's actually getting near, like all of that has happened in a large period of time, and I think it's maybe like a lull period where I think both of us have had to put in a decent amount of effort, both Miss Esther and Amelia, to like keep up, especially after I'm gonna assume poorly on the part of our cheese bringer friend that there's probably a mistake with bringing the first order over, even as it's a simple order of 3 wheels of cheese, but there's a mistake along the way. But I think this is a lull period where we're getting some time to just pause and just take a little bit of a rest to just get our bearings after that very long period of work.
Check. Do you think they're all right? They've been gone for a while.
I think they'll be fine. I
Mm.
tend not to worry these days as much as I can.
You'll have to show me how to do that. Gracious.
Would you like would you like to add wanderlust and a broken heart to your life?
Well, I've already had a taste of both. No, I don't think I should like any more. But speaking of broken hearts, truth time. Our dear Miss Juniper and Geronimo, do you think there's something?
Depends what you mean.
Well, they both have traits that could smooth the other out. But on the other hand, putting the two of them together could end up in a disaster. Now, perhaps I'm being meddlesome. Perhaps I should find other things to put my interest towards, but I don't know. I find it interesting. And truth be told, if something were to happen to me, as I'm sure it will someday, I don't want Geronimo to be alone anymore, if I can help it. I know I'm not his blood family, but I made a promise to look after him, and I want to keep it. Even if the promise was just to myself, I still want to keep it. I think that's why I get so angry when he does things like catch a chill because he's playing in the water and doesn't know to dry his own fur properly.
He has an excitement for life, dear. He has enough energy towards life to merit 3 people's worth. And I think it's something that is good for Miss Juniper to be closer to. I think she has lost a bit of her own light, not being near those who she got to spread so much joy and happiness to.
That's true.
It's the kind of thing that happens. Imagine if you, dear, weren't able to do your business anymore.
That's true. But on the other hand, I think it would be very good for her to find out who she is outside of the classroom. She doesn't know that yet. And It'd be a shame if she had to learn it the hard way.
Oh, I don't think she's unaware of who she is. I think she's just afraid to show it.
You think so?
Oh, I think most people tend to know who they want to be, actually, even if it's only for a little while. I like to think that the things that they go for, the things that they spend their time with, are often just what they feel they have to make a compromise for. But I don't think that's all of who they are. I think she genuinely loved getting to be the person she was as a teacher just as much as Scout likes having something to just chase after and catch and frolic and be around things. But such warmth is often dimmed by the cold of the world and by the things that are out of our control.
Well, I
The fires
suppose
are
that's the bottom. I suppose that's the bottom line, isn't it? It's things that are out of our control.
Yes,
Well,
but that's most people. Most folk, if not all folk, are always faced with the terror and the sadness that is the chill of life dimming whatever warm flame of enthusiasm and excitement they have about anything and everything that they care about. But I don't think that such things mean that it's gone. Take, for example, she points towards the stove where she's been keeping a nice little pot of tea, pot of hot water getting to boil so she can make another cup of tea for you and her to split. She says, see, I don't have to take the time to make this pot of water, but I do because that brings me happiness. I don't have to try and make your life easier, but I do because it makes me happy. Small acts are the little bits of ember and kindling we use to keep our lives warm and alive and going.
mm. Well, that is a fine nugget of wisdom, Miss Amelia. And actually, it sort of sets my brain to spinning. Yes. Thank you very much. And also, thank you for the warm cup of tea.
Oh, well, no trouble at all. Oh, it looks as though we've got a small one who's being a bit ignored by the crowd. And I think she leans over because I'm kind of imagining this was the way that I half imagine the dewdrop as like a wandering like caravan and a cross between a wandering caravan and also like a food truck sometimes the way we talk about it.
Yeah. If you've ever seen, trying to think of a way to describe it, think of a long rectangle with rounded corners and a triangle cloth roof that pitches up to the top. And on the side, there's a large wooden flap that does swing up and open up, which reveals a counter and three little stools. And then outside of it is where she'll set up like small stools and table for people to sit to come get their food. You can sit for a minute to eat and then you can go away.
I think she leans over the counter and she calls out to something she sees on the ground. There's still, I think, some stragglers from the night, but it's reaching sort of the end of the evening. And I think she leans her head over. She's a very tall owl, but she has good perspective from where she's at. And she helps lift up what appears to be a small skeleton in a set of robes up onto the counter that is missing its head. It appears to be a little spirit of the dockyard. And while there is no head with which to necessarily like speak a voice, I think she seems to be able to communicate with it. And she tells to you, Miss Esther, this one, I think, just wants a little bit of attention.
I've got just the thing. I have a little bit of extra incense powder over here, and she'll bustle up and make a little pattern with incense powder on the table in the shape of like a skull, but think like sort of like Day of the Dead skull. So it's not like super realistic, but just that kind of art. And she'll poke a piece of hay into the fire to set the incense powder alight. Well, you can let them know that this is just for them.
Very good. Very good. And I think there is I think there's a moment where just these just almost like little flickering light bulbs, these various fireflies start to just appear all throughout the cavern, just appearing all at once, almost like they're followed. Like the spirit is almost its own variation on like a will-o-wisp. And I think also there is a moment of her looking down and almost like she has it like imagine a parent keeping their kid on their like leg to like read them a story, but she's just like nestled, she just has it nestled under her wing. But she I want to spend a token to offer Miss Esther a chance to connect with me on a personal level, because I think, and the invite, the prompt for that will be, I think Amelia has very happy but very very clear tears that are going down her face.
Miss Esther would very quietly offer one of her handkerchiefs. She doesn't look at you directly, but she makes sure her presence next to you is known. As she sort of looks out and does her usual scan around of all of the surroundings, just clocking people and things and how things are going. But she does sit down very close to you to make sure that her presence is known right next to you.
I think she speaks very softly. Uh she's speaking what's it seems to be in the direction of the spirit, but it could just as well be speaking to you and saying, like kind of like just like occasionally like jostling up just a little bit up and down, almost like it's like a baby, almost like just like giving them like little shakes just to get them to like try and fall asleep. And it's like, did you know that there once was a traveling writer? He used to create stories about everywhere he would go, all the people he would meet, and sometimes even turn them into songs. And he sang most wonderfully. He sang most beautifully. And one day he found that he no longer needed to write songs after one more song he wrote, for he found that the only song that mattered to him after that point was the song he wrote for his beloved. He was happy, and she was happy with him. But 50 years went by, much love and happiness and warmth were shared, and they both realized that time together was at its end. Not for sadness, not for anger, but simply a need to change and to enjoy the last years as our own. He was a sweet man. He was a wonderful man. He had such a nice song that he would sing as the end of the day would come about, and his beloved wife would come home from teaching small children.
Did you love him very much?
With all my heart, as much as any one soul could love another.
Hmm. But it wasn't quite enough, and you needed a change.
Oh, I never think about it as enough. That would suggest that love is a static or disposable sort of thing that fills up after a certain point and then you're done. Love continues. Love carries on. Love cycles. Some moments you feel disdain to other people you know, and other moments you feel nothing but deep, amorous affection. And some moments you feel a spark of warmth and love that you think could last forever. And then other moments you realize you need to be separate people. Not because you dislike each other, but because it's time for you just to be separate people for a while. And we reached a point where we said goodbye to one another, not with hate, not with anger, but with love and knowing and acceptance. But I miss him.
Oh. If he was a man of any worth, I'm sure he'll miss you too.
He was a very good man.
You're lucky then. And I'm glad for you.
Not as lucky as I think you are.
Oh, no, I am blessed with an abundance of all kinds of luck, good and ill.
I hope you count love among that as well, dear. You have my company.
That is true. And I have a darling boy who keeps me company and gets into scrapes and is growing up so quickly.
On cue.
I-
Can this be the point where Geronimo, Josie, and Scout are getting back? And Geronimo's just a big puffball of wet fur with Scout on his shoulders, just sort of laughing uproariously.
Oh, I think
Scout's got the
we
big basket full of mushrooms balanced on her head.
like burst like off the trail just in like this
Uh-huh.
explosion of like light and sound and laughter, and you're all puffed up and Scout's on your shoulders, and Josie will say, "We have the mushrooms." And you see that Josie is covered in bioluminescent mushrooms as she appears behind the others on the trail.
Oh, gracious. So you do. And it seems you've picked up a few spares there, Miss Juniper.
Yes, but these aren't the huggy kind.
Oh, I I would have been fooled. All right. Well, it sounds like everyone needs some hot tea and towels. Geronimo.
Mission complete, Miss Esther.
Thank you, Scout. Oh, you did wonderfully. This is exactly what I needed.
You're going to make something delicious with them?
I'm going to make something extraordinary with them. And it's all thanks to you. And Geronimo and Professor Juniper, too, of course. Thank you all. Geronimo, you
Yes,
look
ma'am.
very puffy.
Yes, I unbroke a waterfall's heart.
You unbroke a waterfall's heart.
Yes. Mhm.
And that
Real
is why your fur is an absolute mess.
Yes.
All right. All of you, towels immediately. Geronimo, sit down on that stool, drink a cup of tea. I'm going to get the brush and I'm going to fix this. And
Thank you, Miss Esther.
she's trying so hard to look like a grump, so hard, but there's just that little uptick of a smile on her face as she gets bustling about.
As you say this and you do this, Miss Esther, Josephine will sit kind of primly next to Geronimo, and she's kind of clutching her satchel to her chest, and she sits down next to Geronimo, and she looks at Geronimo out of the corner of her eye for a second and says, I actually I think it's very fetching when you're puffy. And then she like immediately like drops and spills everything that's in her lap. And oh God, no. Oh, they're everywhere. Oh gosh. I'm sorry about
Hold
earlier,
on.
Geronimo.
Miss Josie. Sorry, Professor Josie. I'll take care of it. And Geronimo gets up and starts very meticulously picking up the items on the floor.
I have one thing to add on to that, and one thing I'll say for the end. The thing I'll add on is that Woad, the little forgotten god of the mossy boulder, just sort of looks over at all of the like bioluminescent fungi you have covering you, and you just hear them just say, "We call that gem heart mushrooms. Supposed to be a sign of good luck with love and new bonds."
Josephine just squeaks.
And I think the last thing I'll add to this is I think Amelia just like gives a very knowing look to Miss Esther of like as much as Miss Esther tries to like hide that little smile, she like raises her cup in that face of like, I know how you feeling. I know you
I have-
smiling. And I
I have
can
no
see.
idea what you mean whatsoever.
And I think you hear her start to sing a little bit, and it's not any tune you've ever heard. Even Miss Esther, who I think Amelia's probably been with the longest, it's not any tune any of you have ever heard. And I think it starts to go something like, as the light of the day begins to fade away, all will lay to rest, free of strife and free of stress. For the night has come at last. Our work is done, and now we lay our heads. And it's just singing as more and more little swarms of fireflies just start rising up from out of the port. And I think off in the distance, you hear a very frustrated captain wondering what's happened. Why is the cheese not selling as fast? How did they end up not getting as much money as they wanted out of this situation?
the the last thing that Josie will do is she will take one of the little bioluminescent mushrooms off of her blouse, and Geronimo, as you're like looking at her, maybe she will stick it onto your nose, and then she'll run away.
I don't know what this means. It's I think his last thing. I think he looks at Miss Esther, Amelia, and then Scout, because Scout, font of knowledge as she is, just like, is this a game?
Mhm.
Oh, okay,
You gotta catch her now.
got it. And not listening to Miss Esther to stay seated, Geronimo has been like, all right, I gotta win this game, and chases after Professor Josie.
Geronimo,
Esther
more
comes
like
back with her brush and
Romeo.
he's just like, where did what on earth?
I'm sorry.
DJ just dropped that on me and I can't. Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry, Tiff. Please.
No, it's all good. It's fine.
And I think as we're in this scene of Abe being upset that not quite as much cheese sold as he was hoping, and Geronimo chasing Professor Juniper around the trailer, that Scout is sitting on the roof and looking outside, and we see the storm finally stop. And Scout just lays back on the roof and is like, best day ever. And I think that should be where we end the episode.
Yeah.
And so let's go around and hear what everyone has going on and where you can find people. Angela, what do you have going on? Where can people find you?
Hello there, lovelies. It's been an absolute pleasure to share with you my little healing, brokenhearted owl woman with a penchant for knowing what's happening with everyone, including herself sometimes. I am, as I said before, a poet and a game designer and a writer in general. I do sensitivity consultation on issues related to disability and race. I am a poet whose main poems, creature designs, and other bits of music that I've written as a freelance musician are on my Patreon at Philosophem. And also you can find a lot of my game stuff, including the multiple books, the multiple playbooks that I've written for the Slayers RPG over at Voice of the Phoenix, where I have, I think at last count, 21 playbooks up, with the 22nd one hopefully coming up based off of Castlevania once I figure out the mechanics for it. It's probably something gay or poly, I don't know. I'll figure that out later. Seems fitting for Castlevania. But yeah, I'm gonna be over at Girls Run These Worlds for the next 2 days for the penultimate episode of our Lancer campaign, Love in the Time of Mechs, and also getting back into what was a very intense cliffhanger for our Dark Rights and Other Forms of Exploitation Renegades game happening on Thursday. I'm super excited and blessed to be with this cast and with all the other casts that I share space with. That's me.
BJ, what do you got going on?
I'm VJ Stonecraft. I'm the director over at Love Wins Craft. It's a queer-led Call of Cthulhu actual play podcast. I do other stuff as well. I do podcasting, streaming, sensitivity reading, and writing, that sort of thing. But you can also find me as Arabella Earhart, Aviator and Aviatrix, in Carrie Smith's The Glass Chronicles, among other projects for Crossroads Games. Hope to see you soon.
Victor, what do you got going on?
All right, guys. I mean, beyond my writing that's been published now in Splat 3, I also have an article up on Start Playing Games talking about putting more queerness into your worlds. You can catch me tomorrow at 6 o'clock EST doing our Once More Into the Void games on our Once More Into the Void game on Friends Who Roll Dice. And it's our second episode. We already hit the ground running, and trust me, it's only going to get more dramatic, more messy. And you can see me as the dashing and I think it's unscrupulous when you're kind of like a dick, right? Captain. Yeah, otherwise you can catch playbooks that I've written for various games, extra mini games for your to use in any of your campaigns, especially for the honor, on my itch.io, which is linked in my Twitter profile.
Tiff, what do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Well, aside from being here on Tales from the Dewdrop at TTRPG, you will also find me just happy to be here. I am at Ruby Quill on Twitter. I like to talk about K-pop, spirituality, and restorative justice. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all of you next week for a new episode.
And I have been Natalie Budum. I'm a professional game master with Charm Person Games. You can book with us for your parties, bat mitzvahs, corporate events, or funerals. We'll run any game, anywhere, anytime for you. You can also purchase my game, Sapphic Space Pirates, at charmpersongames.com. It's a GM-less, diceless role-playing game about lesbian friendships and relationships. It's very good. And over here on TTRPG, Dead or Alive, the tropical zombie thriller, tomorrow night. And Friday is the finale of Los Casados, which last week I got the details wrong, but that's actually a Haunted West campaign, which from what I hear is really fantastic, and I need to catch up on it. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Thank you, Angela, for the music. Thank you to Hunter's Anarchy for our fabulous art, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, y'all.